Are you sick and tired of math and numbers behind Aha? What exactly are punchlines? What is gonna be a certified banger? Is this brain rot or is this even Honkai style? Am I playing the right game? Also, yep, that's the best auto animation I've ever seen in my entire life. So hey guys, MrPokke here. For this particular video, we're probably going to be putting this up in the series of, I think, 10 different content we're going to be cooking up for version 4's early access, going through essentially what is Elation. How exactly is this mechanic supposed to be about? How do you do damage, the damage scaling behind Elation skills, the certified bangers, what is the team building behind all of these kind of stuff? So for this particular video, we're not gonna be using this as a guide for Yao Guang or Sparksy. Kindly check out the other two guide videos we have over here when they eventually come out in the future, right? So I'm just gonna be going through with you guys exactly how this works. So if you have any confusion as to how Elation itself is actually gonna be from our guide videos, then come to this video over here. We're gonna be explaining everything, right? So without further ado, let's get into today's content. So for Elation's entire mechanic, Aha is going to be the driver for our new meta in version 4 with its flair of lore, since it seems that the quest for this entire version is to see who can be the Aeon of Elation for 1 minute, and Aha himself actually just joins us for our battle, which is going to be quite nice. So think of Aha somewhat like a Lion Lord, is like a summon, but he's pretty much going to be 1,000 times better because the speed is not going to be fixed while having multiple use cases tied to your Elation skills, which will increase your overall damage as well as the other utilities with, for example, the certified banger. So the goal is honestly very simple. You literally want to make Aha laugh. Yep, hence denoted by the punchlines, which you will accrue with your team throughout the entire fight. So the more punchlines you're going to be getting, then the more Aha is going to laugh, right? Therefore, you're going to be dealing more Elation damage and also triggering your Elation skills as well as certified bangers. So the very first thing we are going to be addressing is what exactly is going to be Aha's speed formula. So you can see it from this graph right here. So Aha's speed is basically going to be seen from this formula where X is the speed of your fastest Elation unit in descending order. That's pretty much it. So basically, your Aha's base speed is always going to be 80. This speed goes up based on number 1, the speed of all of your Elation units, and number 2, the number of Elation units. The important thing to note over here is you can see how the fraction is going to be working is that your first unit in the 1/5 segment, which is going to be the fastest Elation unit, it will have the highest speed denominator for Aha himself. So for a super fast unit, let's just say for example a 200 speed unit with a 1 Elation unit at 134 speed will actually give you more speed than 4 Elation units at 160 speed from these examples right here, right? So you can see our first formula is going to give us 133.4 and the second formula is going to give us 128. And also this is going to be the perfect amount of speed needed for 2 Aha actions in 150 action value, just like how you want to hit 133.4 speed for your normal support units. So ideally, the stat line that you actually want to hit for Aha going forward in the future is to hit between 133.4 speed so you can get Aha to move twice on the very first wave. Although this threshold, it will become a lot easier in the future with more Elation unit added to your team. As of right now, because you only have 2 Elation units, we're going to be Sparksy as well as Yao Guang. Unfortunately, 200 and 134 speed is not going to be an ideal setup because first of all, Yao Guang actually wants to stack on crit. And second of all, Sparksy functions better with attack boots, especially if you want to pair up with a Sparkle support. So this setup is most likely meant for future Elation units added to your team, bringing the threshold to roughly 175, 134 as well as 110 instead. And if you have 4 Elation units, this becomes even easier. So a little bit more of the details for Aha's speed itself. It is technically impossible to hit 200 Aha speed for 3 actions in the first wave for now, unless we have way more speed in the future to our entire team. On this note, Yao Guang can theoretically hit 200 speed, but Sparksy, like I mentioned, needs to run speed boots, which is going to be very suboptimal, especially if you want to pair up with a Sparkle support. For the actual combat itself, you will notice that combat speed buff can actually affect her, but action value advance, for example, like dance, it actually cannot bring your Aha forward, which is going to be very unfortunate. And then for the action value on Aha, it does not reset per wave, very similar to how Pure Fiction, Epoch Shadows, as well as Anomaly Arbitration, your actions between each wave for units, it doesn't reset, unlike Memory of Chaos. So just like those situations, Aha does not reset. So for example, if your AHA has that 46 action value left on your very first wave, or in cycle 0, 29, when it goes into the next wave, it is still cycle 0, AHA will be the first person to go, or rather the first individual, because the action value actually carried forward, which means that you technically really don't need to hit 133.4, because if you can just save up the next AHA action to the next wave, you can still guarantee 2 actions by your next cycle. And usually you don't really need to get the double AHA actions on the very first wave for a 0 cycle anyways. So why does AHA speed here matter? Is because having access to more AHA actions is always going to translate into more elation skills, which will scale with your elation damage formula, which we're going to be talking about a little bit later. On top of that, it also gives you the certified banger, which will then buff off your elation units. This will usually make or break your 0 cycles for the elitists, or just generally clearing a little bit faster for every other player that's going to be playing the elation flagship. If you only care about clear, the speed break point is not going to be that relevant. You can just try to go for as fast as possible for mainly that one super fast unit, and the rest of the elation units, when we get them in the future, it is going to add on to AHA speed naturally. So after going over AHA's speed formula as well as how frequently AHA moves, what exactly does AHA even do? So this will be tied to 2 main things, one of which being the elation skill, which are based on elation units, as well as the buff called Certified Banger, lasting for 2 turns. For your elation skills, AHA itself actually does not attack. It just records all of the elation skills used in that moment for all of your elation units, and then it slaps it on as a final damage on the rainbow screen. You can see it right here. So for these elation skills, take note of the following things that you can consider. Number 1, during your elation skill, your respective units will always follow this thing called the participant ID, which will determine who goes first and who goes next. And this is pretty much beyond your control. You can't really speed tune this participant ID, with the lower ID having the higher priority of going first. So this is mainly designed so that your supports and your debuffers, for example, your Yao Guang giving the 60% vulnerability, it will be applied before Spark Seed's attack is gonna go, which means you're gonna be dealing more damage. So by design, it is meant to just work by itself, and you don't have to worry about it by too much. Other than that, elation skills also can deal toughness bar damage as well as regenerate energy, usually 5 energy, and it is affected by energy regeneration, just like any other normal attacks. Generally, right now, Spark Seed also would prefer running energy regeneration rope, so they can stack on more of these punchlines, which is gonna be giving you a little bit better of a rotation overall. As for the elation skill itself, you will notice how they all scale with this brand new term called elation damage, which is found all over an elation units kit. So below is going to be like the nerd formula as to exactly how elation damage is going to be calculated. So it's going to be a raw 7535 multiplied by your elation percent, merrymaking percent, your punchlines, then your vulnerability, and all of those other damage reduction things, which is going to be seen for every single DPS formula. You can think of this very similarly to super break damage, but for elation instead. This multiplier is directly linked to the elation percent, punchlines, your crits, other buffs are your crit, res pen, defense now, as well as this flat attack of 7535. So this flat attack of 7535, it is not going to be able to be adjusted. It is always going to be the same. So the only things you can actually change is all those other formulas, namely your punchlines as well as elation percent. Now for this particular term, merrymaking, it appears to be a brand new formula, which is only found as of right now, E6 Yao Guang. So for more supports in the future, we might see more merrymaking percentage, but for now, this is not going to be the case. Also, as a bonus, true damage does in fact work with elation, so if you're going to be running your Cypher damage calculations or your E1 Trippy, it can actually still function. Now, with all that being said, unfortunately, elation damage does not scale with elemental percent, just like Super Break, but units like Spark Seed does have a special trace which can convert your attack percentage to elation percentage directly, so there might be similar conversions for other units in the future going forward. As such, elation damage itself is actually a very, very rare field of the formula because we don't really have many, if at all, external sources of elation percent other than Yao Guang as of now, making elation buffs very, very important, especially when more elation units are going to be added. But maybe in the future, when more elation units comes out, they can also buff their own elation damage. So generally speaking, to deal the highest amount of skill damage, or rather the elation skill during AHA's turn, you will want to increase all of these respective stats as high as possible, but most of them are pretty much out of your control from your initial builds, right? You give them your attack, you give them your conversion, except for this one main thing, and that's going to be the punchline. So after going over how frequently AHA moves as well as what AHA actually does, How do we make sure that our elation skills as well as our units' elation traces and talents deal more damage? And that's when punchlines and bangers, or rather certified bangers, will be the main focus. So for example, why does Sparks use a hammer? Because she wants to break the fourth wall. This mechanic is split into two unit mechanics, and that is gonna be punchline and bangers. So the important thing is for your stacking, right? So your punch lines are the ones that you stack, which is gonna be the symbol denoted on top of your skill points. These are called punch lines. So whenever your elation unit, like your Sparksy or Yao Guang, is doing the skills, your ultimate, whatever, you will give more punch lines for this particular portion, right? And then after that, when you get yourself the aha instance and they're gonna take an action, they will distribute these punch lines as certified bangers, which is going to be literally denoted from in-game. So after that, all these punch lines will be converted to your individual units, and usually they'll be split on the same number. So for example, if your punch line over here is going to be 45, then all of them will be getting 45 certified bangers. So stacking your punch lines, they are only going to be generated by your elation units, your Memory of Chaos buffs or different buffs, or some enemy mechanics. So here are some of the examples, right? Your Yao Guang's base attack, your skills, your Aha's punch lines, your Sparcy's ultimate, this chicken enemy, which gives you 10 punch lines, as well as the MOC Cyber Ministry, which also gives you a lot of these different punch lines. So why exactly do you want to generate punch lines? So here's the thing, right? All your punch lines generated will go into this symbol here. So it will start tallying. Then when you get the aha instance, it will first deal all of your elation skill damage, all of your elation skill, which is based on your punch lines, right? So this 2.1 million, all this is going to be scaled in from the damage formula. Which is going to be for aha itself, the elation skill, which is based on your punch lines, and then it will distribute these punch lines as certified bangers, and the actual punch lines for aha will be reset back to 0. So in this case, when we did a 64 punch lines for the aha instance, it will distribute 64 certified bangers each for both Sparksy as well as Yao Guang, giving them 104 and 104 respectively. So a very important thing here, in case you guys are a little bit confused, punch lines affect your aha or the elation skill damage, whereas certified bangers will affect your individual unit's talent damage, because for your elation units, all the talents seems to only work if there are certified bangers. So you need this to basically scale up all of these talents kit, and the more certified bangers you have, the more of these talents damage is going to be able to scale up. For example, Sparksy's additional EBA damage as well as the ultimate, right? So for the topic of certified bangers, they last for 2 turns individually, which will enable your respective elation units and their talents to activate. For example, Yao Guang's Great Boon as well as Sparksy's damage for EBA ultimate. But something in mind would be the punch lines will reset for each character at the end of their second turn. Yao Guang does have a special interaction, the trace, which will push it to the end of the third turn instead. You can see from this countdown right here, Sparky is going to be 211, which all of them are going to be individually counted, and then Yao Guang is going to be 332. So like I mentioned, punch lines are all independent counts. So if Yao Guang ultimates for plus 20 punch lines, which is going to be converted into certified bangers, then only after 2 turns will the 20 bangers be removed from the ultimate. But because of the Yao Guang trace, it's actually going to be 3. So generally speaking, all this mechanic, you don't actually need to worry about it that much, because you cannot really control the bangers and punch lines, because they kind of just go naturally, right? When you cast a skill, you cast an ultimate, when the heart takes an instance, it will distribute the punch lines. It will just go as per normal, right? You could try to use more elation units to make them stack faster, but it is something that's just beyond your control, right? The only thing you need to worry about is more elation units means they will have more kits, they will activate more punch lines, which will then be converted to more bangers, and your entirety will just do more damage. Because once again, punchline is Aha's damage, or rather the elation skill damage. Banger is your individual unit's talent damage. So in summary, here is pretty much the rotation for everything. You will want to give Aha as many punch lines as possible before it takes action. So Aha will then take action, progging all of your elation skills, which will scale based off of your punch lines generated, and it will give all of these as certified bangers to your Elation units. The bangers distributed to all of your Elation units will be based on the shared punchlines before AHA took an instance. So your next Elation skill, which is gonna be able to start retelling again, it will be on a new set of punchlines generated, and then your Elation talent, right? Your unit's talent, which is based off of your bangers, they will deal more damage because you now have more bangers in your individual units. So keep in mind, for all of our Elation units, their talent seems to only trigger if you have certified banger. So if you do not have any certified banger, that trait is pretty much completely useless. So you pretty much just have to run this. And you then repeat the entire process, stack on your punchlines, stack on your bangers, blah, 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 rinse and repeat. So you can kind of just see how this flagship will take place based on this video, where you want to run Elation units to have more punchline generation. AHA will act with your proc more Elation skills to add more units benefiting from the certified bangers, leading to the next AHA action dealing more damage, your next Elation talent dealing more damage, and as such, the current version 4 units for Elation, it will not be the final stage in version 4 because they're definitely going to be adding more Elation units to the future, right? So for Elation mains, you are logged in for the Elation flagship, be prepared to get more units to the roster and see their true potential. At this point, you come to the end of this video. Let me know if you guys have any questions, thoughts, and comments down below. More videos coming out near you for like a lot of Sparksy as well as Yaguang showcases. So join our Discord for more discussions. Well, today is gonna be punch these. Join Discord. Use code PRO 10% off. Give us up all the best. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.